In this video, we arrive in Cuba. We undergo quarantine and PCR test procedures. We get our broken traveler repaired. Then we visit the town of Santiago. Last time, on sailing Balachandra, we faced some serious sea conditions in our final days of our passage to Cuba.
If you're new to the channel, hi, I'm Noelle.
And I'm Dan.
And we're sailing Balachandra. We sailed all the way from Halifax, Nova Scotia to the Caribbean.
That's right, we're sailing around the Caribbean now, and if you haven't subscribed to our channel, just go below this video, look for the big red subscribe button, and press that button. We're passing Guantanamo Bay, Cuba right now, the American military naval zone. And there's like a 3-mile radius you have to stay outside of when you pass it. And when we first left the shoreline, we were in some really bad chop, and we were like, oh my God, like this is crazy. Like maybe we should turn back. I don't know if we're gonna make this, but once we got, offshore quite a ways, it calmed down quite a bit actually. And we've got the sail up, and we're having a nice like sunset sail past Guantanamo Bay, Cuba now. We're so far away, you can't really see that much of the base. But it's all along this coastline here.
When we had first arrived, it was really late at night. There was these men in fishing boats with bright lights shining into the water, and we couldn't really see what they were doing and whether or not they were fishermen, but we kind of pieced it together. Right away on the VHF, a gentleman's calling us sailing barco. And barco means boat in Spanish. They gave us directions as to where to anchor, but we were confused by their directions. We were so sleep deprived, we couldn't figure out his instructions as to where to anchor. And we ended up just dropping the anchor right in front of the smoke towers, these refinery towers. And we read on Active Captain that this refinery spewed out a lot of black material that might end up on your boat, so we were a little nervous about that. We were just about to go to sleep for the night and then sort of deal with things in the morning when the light, when the sun was up. But just as we were about to go to sleep, he came over the VHF radio again, the same gentleman from the Marina, and he gave us instructions to move the boat to another spot, and where we were supposed to actually anchor.
Right. At this point, the sun was just starting to come up, so we could see what we were doing, and we went into this spot where it was about 35, almost 40 feet of water. And I don't like anchoring in water that deep, but it's a pretty calm little bay, so it didn't matter. So we dropped our anchor there, and we went to bed.
We didn't even have warning when the health authorities showed up. It took us a few minutes to gather ourselves and be prepared. It would have been nice if we had a heads up, as we were still really groggy. They did board the boat, 2 nurses, and the rest of the people stayed in the dinghy. It was only the nurses that had come aboard.
So they did the 2 PCR tests, and the customs officials stayed on board, but we handed them photocopies of our documents.
And we had our swab tests, our paperwork done, pictures taken. There was no questions asked about Zeus.
No, they didn't care at all about the dog.
No.
And I think you could have done this without photocopies, but they were pretty happy to have copies, like physical copies right there, in advance of us visiting the Marina with our actual paperwork. They could take it right there on the boat. So I think that was good. If you're planning to go to Cuba and you're going to do your first check-in, it might help to have some copies, like physical paper copies, if it's possible.
It was very short of a wait for our results to come back. It had taken us 24 hours to get our results back, but the boat that had followed us had to wait 48 hours. I felt really bad for them. You could see them stirring on their boat. They just couldn't wait to get to shore. They did the same passage as we had from St. Martin, so I could feel their pain.
I think maybe they arrived on a Sunday. That might have been the issue. Yeah. The clinic might have been closed. But yeah, surprisingly, of all the PCR tests that we've had in the Caribbean, Cuba was the fastest with the results. It was just boom.
Grenada was really fast, but they did the blood test. It only had cost us $30 for our PCR tests each, and entry fee, I believe it was $250.
Yeah, it covered our visas.
Yeah.
Did it cover the Marina as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, Marina fees, visa.
We had stayed at the Marina for 3 nights, and it cost us 0.75 cents American per foot per night, and it included free electricity and unlimited water.
Yeah, fairly cheap compared to other marinas for sure. And diesel is available at the pump, and I believe we paid $20 US for one 20-liter can of diesel.
So I ended up showering on board. I didn't want to use their bathrooms. There was like mosquitoes everywhere. You know what really made the Marina nice? I really liked the people. The staff were super friendly, very accommodating. They were very open in discussion, and their English was, there was always at least one person in the Marina on duty that spoke a fair amount of English.
The people in Cuba seem to come across really nice. It's almost the same experience we have when we fly to Cuba and go to a resort on the north coast. It's the same hospitality, the same attitude, and we really love that about Cuba. They are definitely hurting right now for income and supplies and whatever. Like, it was bad enough before COVID-19 that they, because of the embargo and the limitation that they have on like international products. But now with COVID-19 and, you know, and a shortage of all these products as well, it's really bad. People are not afraid to ask for things, and they're happy with like an empty bottle to a used pair of shoes to, you know, old tools, anything at all pretty much that you're willing to give up, they're willing to accept. So it's pretty amazing. And we were able to barter a few things for fresh vegetables, which is some things we just gave away as gifts.
If you are planning a trip to Cuba, I strongly recommend that you save all of the old electronics, like from a toaster to whatever, and if you have room in a carry-on, just shove all your electronics into a bag and take it with you to Cuba, because that is what they truly would appreciate.
They're especially looking for old cell phones, and it's, or maybe just sad really, because we know in the world there's piles of used cell phones just sitting, you know, in heaps where people have sent them in to recycle, and there's some kind of a recycle program or not, I don't know. But here in Cuba, an old used cell phone actually has value, and you can trade that or give it as a gift to someone, and they'll appreciate that. Yeah. Versus like what we do home, and people change phones so quickly.
Yeah.
The local marina called us a taxi to take us to Santiago. The round-trip taxi cost $25 US. Santiago is clearly a very busy town, with many people out on the streets in their daily routine. However, due to COVID-19, many people are not working, and plenty of workers are sitting idle at jobs due to closures and curfew. Virtually all of the stores are closed. There are no museums, bars, restaurants, churches, or any sites related to tourism left open. We did manage to order a pizza, but it was very obvious that finding any supplies here in Cuba was going to be extremely difficult. What stores we could look into had virtually nothing on their shelves. It was clear to us that the rules and regulations enforced by the government surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic are very different here in Cuba than they are to the rest of the Caribbean. The town square and Central Park of Santiago is virtually the only thing left worth visiting in Santiago during the pandemic. We walked around town, enjoyed the sun, the vintage cars, Spanish music, and the general atmosphere of a busy Cuban city left on standstill. Ay, mama, ¿qué pasó? Ay, mama, ¿qué pasó? El cuarto de tu la, sí, señor. Now that we had arrived in Santiago, my first order of business was getting our broken traveler repaired. Unfortunately, this meant I needed to find a welder who could weld stainless steel. The last time I looked for a welder was in Dominican Republic, and a welder who could weld stainless steel at that time was impossible to find. However, luck was on our side in Santiago. There is a steel shipbuilding company in walking distance of the marina, and lucky for us, they had a stainless steel welder on site who could fix our traveler. I don't speak any Spanish, but I drew some easy to follow diagrams of what I wanted to do to strengthen the traveler clip. The job only took a couple of hours and ended up costing me only $7 US. Amazing. Now the Traveler is welded back together with extra steel for added strength. The work was very professional and very clean. I feel very good about the strength of our new Traveler clip. Now that our mainsail is back online, we can now sail to wind, which will be a huge help when we round the west coast of Cuba, heading for Havana.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this week's video, please don't forget to leave us a like or a comment below.
That's right, or hit subscribe. It's a big red button just below the video. And if you haven't checked out our Patreon page, it's always a good time to do so. Patreon's a place where you can give back if you like what we do and you want to support us. Thanks. See you later.